All right, welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're going to decode the master plan behind every skyscraper, every bridge, every building you see. And that is the construction schedule. It's really the hidden language that turns this massive, complex idea into a series of steps you can actually manage. Now, you'd probably think that the biggest holdups on a construction site are things like, pouring concrete or lifting massive steel beams into place. But what's really fascinating is that's not usually the case. The most unpredictable, frustrating delays, they often come from stuff that happens in an office, ordering materials, or just waiting on a permit to come through.
So how in the world do you plan for something like that? The truth is, it's not just about making a timeline. It's about creating a strategic roadmap that actually tries to see those risks coming and gets everybody, absolutely everybody, moving in the same direction. So let's dive in and see how they do it.
First things first, every scheduler needs a good toolkit. And the very first choice they have to make is which tool they're going to use for the job. And it usually boils down to two main options, and each one has a really clear trade-off.
And this really lays out that trade-off perfectly. On one side, you've got Gantt charts. They're simple, they're clean, super visual, perfect for showing a client the big picture. But then on the other side, you've got network diagrams. Yeah, they're way more complex, but they show you something that is absolutely crucial: how every single task is connected. How a single delay in one spot can set off a domino effect across the entire project.
Okay, so once you've picked your tool, how do you actually go about building the schedule? Well, it's not just one thing. It's a really methodical process that pretty much always happens in 3 core stages.
And here they are: planning, sequencing, and scheduling. This 3-step process is basically the engine that drives the whole project forward. You can think of it as answering 3 simple questions. First, what do we have to do? Second, in what order do we do it? And third, how long is each part actually going to take?
So let's talk about step 1, planning. The entire schedule, everything is built on this foundation. And it's all about identifying every single thing that needs to get done. If you miss one task here, it can cause a massive headache way down the line. And when we say everything, we mean it. It's not just the physical construction, the production part. The schedule also has to track procurement. That's ordering all the steel, all the windows, you name it. And then there's administration, which is all the permits and approvals that can stop a project dead in its tracks if they're not handled on time.
Okay, so once you have this giant list of every single task, you can move on to step 2, sequencing. And this part is just pure logic. I mean, you can't put the roof on a house before the walls are up, right? This whole stage is about mapping out all those essential connections.
And honestly, you can really picture it this way. Project teams will literally do this, or, a digital version of it. They take every single task, and they ask 3 really simple questions to build out a logical flow for the whole project.
First question, what has to happen before this task can even start? For example, you absolutely have to get the wall frame built before you can even think about installing the windows. Simple as that.
Second question, what can happen after this task is finished? So once the drywall is up and done, well, that's the green light for the painters to come in and get started.
And finally, the third question, what can we do at the same time? Maybe the electricians can be wiring the first floor while the plumbers are working on the second. You answer these 3 questions for every task, and suddenly you have the logical backbone of your entire project.
So now you've got the sequence, the logical order of things. You get to the final step, scheduling. And this is where you assign a duration to every single task. And when you do that, something amazing is revealed. The project's hidden timeline, the one single path that dictates the entire project length.
See, the total time for a project isn't just adding up all the tasks, because a lot of them happen at the same time. No, it's determined by one specific sequence of events. And that sequence is called the critical path. It's basically the longest possible journey from the start of the project to the finish.
And this right here, this is probably the most important concept in all of scheduling. If any single task on that critical path takes just 1 day longer than you planned, the final completion date for the whole project gets pushed back by 1 day, period. And that's because these specific tasks have 0, and I mean 0, float, or slack. There is absolutely no wiggle room. Now, other tasks, ones that aren't on the critical path, they might have a few days of float. They can be delayed a little bit without affecting the end date. But on the critical path, that schedule is razor thin.
But here's the real secret, the thing that separates the good project managers from the great ones. The schedule isn't some static document that you create once, print out, and stick in a drawer. In the real world, It's a dynamic tool. It has to evolve with the project.
I mean, today's scheduling software lets the schedule be a living, breathing document. It's constantly being updated for stuff like weather delays or material changes, and every single time an update gets punched in, the software automatically recalculates everything, instantly showing the team if that all-important critical path has changed.
So when you boil it all down, the schedule is so much more than just a timeline. Its most powerful job, its primary job, is communication. It is the single source of truth that keeps the owner, the architect, and all the different subcontractors on the exact same page.
And that's why keeping that schedule updated is so incredibly vital. Think about it. When a plumbing crew shows up and the site isn't ready for them, it doesn't just waste a ton of time and money, it destroys trust. Communicating changes right away prevents those kinds of disruptions that can literally sink a project. So, the next time you see one of those bustling construction sites with dozens of people and heavy machines all moving at once and it just looks like total chaos, remember what's really going on. It's not chaos at all. It's a carefully orchestrated dance, and the schedule is the music everyone is dancing to.
And that kind of leaves us with a final thought, right? If we know for a fact that the schedule is going to change from day one, what is the point of making it? Well, maybe the goal isn't to create some perfect, untouchable plan. Maybe the true purpose of planning is to create a shared understanding, an understanding that allows an entire team to adapt to reality together.